Head of Gridiron Glory, I'm Jaush Huntsberger. Week 3 has arrived, and while some of our teams have cruised through their first 2 matchups, others are looking at a must-win situation. To find out which teams were able to get back on track, let's get rolling. After the Trimble Tomcats started off the year with a huge win over Nelsonville-York, Wahama handed them a not-so-friendly reminder of just who's in charge of the TVC-Hocking. This week, the Tomcats are hoping to get back in the win column against an 0-2 South Gallia squad. We now welcome Mike Bunt, who is making his Gridiron Glory debut. Mike, what was Trimble's mindset going into this game?
Entering tonight's contest versus South Gallia, Trimble had one thing on their mind: rebooting after falling in a low-scoring contest to Wahama last week. The Tomcats entered tonight determined not to let the same thing happen again, as they came out fighting on all cylinders. Now we head out to the action. South Gallia players are just getting pumped for this game early on. You look at Stanley right here, breaking off a 33-yard run early in the first quarter, just deking and duking out everybody right there. South Gallia has no clue what just hit him, and finally he gets taken down far in Rebel territory. But later in the drive, Stanley tries to make a play, and he ends up getting intercepted by Zach Roger at the 7-yard line, killing a drive. But coaches are telling Stanley, you got this, you're still the man, we need you. Then the Rebels end up choking the next series. Tomcats get a safety as they land in touch in the end zone. And then Bryce Smathers breaks off a 9-yard touchdown run, 9-0 Trimble first quarter. Next thing you know, punt by the Rebels. Terry similarly catches it, and he has all the room in the world, all the blockers in front of him. Nobody's even near him as he breaks off a 45-yard punt return touchdown, 16-0 Trimble, and it's still in the first quarter now. Later, Stanley gets a 19-yard touchdown pass to Austin Downs here. Again, another example of how nobody's even getting close to him. Nobody's even getting hands on him. He gets another touchdown, 23-0 at the end of the first quarter, and nothing would change in the second as Stanley breaks off a little bit, throws it into Wyatt Deke, 30-0, another touchdown for Trimble, and that was just the way it worked today. They just had an amazing offensive day, win 74-6.
All right, well, Bryce Smathers, he had a huge game tonight for the Tomcats. Talk a little bit about his impact and how he can take some of the pressure off Connor Stanley.
Well, Smathers is one of those guys that takes the pressure off of Stanley because he can run the ball and doesn't make Stanley have to run it all the time. Stanley's one of those guys who likes to pass it, likes to throw it. But with other weapons, Trimble's offense is that much more effective, and you saw it tonight, 74 points. That's really impressive.
Oh, great offense, and their defense was pretty solid as well. They only allowed 6 points tonight. Talk about their success.
Well, Trimble just had their defense going on all cylinders today. They were forcing a lot of pressure up the middle. South Gallia really couldn't break off any runs, and you saw the safety earlier in the play. That was just an example of how good Trimble's defense was getting today. There was no way that South Gallia was going to get anything against them tonight.
All right, quick question for you here, Mike. Why do you think Connor Stanley has been so impressive this season?
He's just a force. He can do it all. He can pass, he can throw. He's just one of those guys that's really effective.
All right, thanks a lot. Great job on your debut tonight, Mike. Now, both of the teams in our next matchup won close games in their season opener, but were blown out of the water in Week 2. This week, Parkersburg and Marietta are looking to show their critics that they're for real. We now welcome our West Virginia reporter, Seth Austin, to the desk. Seth, excuse me, Seth, both of these teams are in different states, but their history goes a long way back.
Right, Josh. Up until 1994, this is the oldest high school football rivalry in the nation. Rivalry took a 13-year hiatus, but resumed in 2008, looking to revive the spark. They met tonight in Marietta for the 108th meeting between the two schools in history, and it was a big red invasion in Marietta. Parkersburg fans came up the river to see their boys play, but Marietta was ready to go behind this man, Anthony Kimbrough, 66-yard strike to Quentin Cofield, putting the Tigers up 7-0 early, but Parkersburg would respond. Aaron Roberts, Coach Reeves said he was primed for a big game. He fakes the counter here, takes it to the right, and he's going to go up the sidelines, truck a defender, and get deep into territory. And Parkersburg is on a roll at this point. Very next play, Chandler Hamilton. This guy averaging 16 yards per touch. Takes it to the right, takes it back to the left. He's going to reverse field. I'm going to come back to the left again. Comes all the way down the sidelines. This play, a little more than 16 yards, more than his average. He's going to get deep into Tigers territory, giving Parkersburg a great chance. And you know what? He's going to get up, pump up the fans, and he loves a little bit of Gridiron Glory. Hey, Chandler, we love you too.
He loves the camera.
And now they have great field position, and Aaron Roberts rolls right. He's going to toss it up across his body to Dan Fox. What a couple weeks that guy's had. All tied at 7. Aaron Roberts, hey, at the end of this first half, he's looking more like Aaron Rodgers. He's throwing it up here. Big bomb, 51-yard pass to Matt Sander. He's back off injury. He was a big force. We knew he was going to be a big ball player. And guess what? He has a little bit of a message for somebody at home once we go to the sideline. 104 yards on the night.
Hey, Mama.
Hi, Mom. He's ready to go. But hey, Marietta made this game a little bit closer, ended up getting a comeback because they got an onside kick, was able to score, but it was Parkersburg's 355 total yards. That was too much to handle.
All right, well, Parkersburg got 2 key players back tonight, Seth. Tell us who they are and how they had such a big impact on this game.
Well, we saw Matt Sander come back. He was having a little bit of shoulder trouble. He's a big playmaker for the Big Reds. 7 receptions, 104 yards, and a touchdown. Aaron Roberts has really got to love this guy. And then Tyler Drake, an inside linebacker. They were starting all sophomores on that linebacking core, but he was part of a defense tonight that gave up only 136 rush yards when they gave up 419 to Midland last week.
Wow, well, Aaron Roberts, like you said, looking more like Aaron Rodgers, came out of his show tonight. Talk about his great play.
Yeah, 16 of 23, 253 yards, 4 touchdowns. When you get a guy that's as athletic and a big playmaker as Sander back, you also got the fantastic Mr. Dan Fox. 4 receptions, 71 yards, and 3 touchdowns. It's hard not to be good when you have this great of a receiving core.
All right, well, next week they take on a big team in Huntington. Tell us a little bit about that matchup.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a big matchup, and Parkersburg's going to be ready to go. Lost to them twice last year. Regular season 27-17, and they lost them in the first round of the playoffs. Got trounced 49-20. Coach Reeves better have his boys ready to go with a lot of emotion if they want to win this one.
All right, well, big win for Parkersburg tonight. Even bigger game next week, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Seth. Now, if you'd like more info about our teams throughout the week, check us out on social media. You can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Gridiron Glory for game updates, pictures, and more. You can also follow my host Twitter account at gghost_JAUSH. There you can get my opinions on weekly matchups and ask any questions about your team. The Philo Electrics are off to a hot start after dominating in Week 1 and winning a thriller over Crooksville in their home opener. This week they hosted an angry New Lexington team who needs this conference win after being handled by John Glenn in Week 2. We are now joined live in Zanesville with Brad Hawley to talk more about the game. Brad, did the fortunes change for New Lex this week? All right, well, we're trying to get a hold of Brad. Philo and New Lex came down to the wire tonight. Don't want to tell you too much about the game without letting you see the highlights. We'll let Brad Hawley do it now that we got him. Brad, was New Lex able to turn the page tonight?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What'd you say, Josh?
Was New Lex able to turn the page tonight?
Oh, yeah, that's right, Josh. And these two teams were headed in different directions in Week 3. But New Lex head coach says his team needs to get back to fundamentals to win 7 games last season. It was USA night here at Philo, and who's that good-looking devil in the student section? First quarter, Zach Sheridan, 60 yards, but he gets himself into trouble, runs over his own lineman, and there he goes. He got himself 60 yards, gets down to the 6, but there is a holding penalty, and the drive stalls. New Lex's ball now. Alex Bryant to Gerald Spahn, 20 yards over the middle. That gets the drive started, and if you were a New Lex fan, you saw this all night. Alex Bryant, dive up the middle, 7 yards. And then to finish off the drive, Alex Bryant up the middle, 2 yards, 7-0 New Lex. Philo's forced to punt, and New Lex would be on the move again. Bryant to Spahn, that's 8 yards. It's inside the 20, and Bryant finishes it off again, 13-0 New Lex. And this was kind of the all night for Philo. Hunter Smith drops the ball. They have to punt, and the snap goes over Nathan Delozier's head, and he has to kick it out of the end zone. It is 15-0, a big play in this game. Philo's D forces a punt, and then Philo with Zach Sheridan, 14 yards, he gets moving, but then another bad snap, and New Lex goes on to win 15-13. And a fun fact here tonight, Alex Bryant was part of every yard, or all the yards, 145, and 99 of them were passing, 99 were rushing, 46 were passing.
Wow, big win for New Lexington. How were they able to do this tonight? This is a complete turnaround from last week's team.
Well, after giving up 291 yards to John Glenn last week, they needed to shore that up, and they did. They only gave up 164 total yards to Philo. If they keep doing this, they could be a contender in the MVL.
All right, now Philo, they dropped their first game of the season. If you're a Philo fan, what are you concerned about most?
I am worried about the slow starts. Crooksville, they were down to Crooksville 13-0 in the second half. They were down to New Lex 15-0. If they keep with these slow starts, they're going to be in trouble.
All right, well, Brad Hawley live in Zanesville. We'll be heading back your way here in a few. Thanks, Brad. It's now time on our show for Fan of the Week. This week we made the long trip up to Thornville to check out the always exciting Sheridan Generals. And let me tell you, this crowd lived up to the expectations. That was a little weak for Fan of the Week material. I need more enthusiasm.
1, 2, 3. Go Sheridan!
3 hands. Okay, everybody wants to go to high.
Is this
okay.
on TV?
Huh?
Is this TV?
Yeah, this is going to be on TV. We're on a show called Gridiron Glory, and we are here looking for a Fan of the Week this week. It's you?
Actually, it's obviously me.
Okay, no.
It's all of us.
Yeah.
We're all
We're a team.
we're a team, so.
You got a pretty nice view of the game, though, right?
I have a right view.
You just take their order, kind of ignore them. Yeah, okay, I'll get your hot dog. I'll get your hot dog. Yeah. You guys, yeah, you're about to be on TV. You're about to be, yeah. We're here looking for a Fan of the Week for Gridiron Glory. And you got it looks like you have all the makings to be our Fan of the Week. We'll try.
You should wait for me. I'm fan of the week, so I'll definitely be there for you, okay? Well, I'm the fan of the week, so I'm the fan of the week.
Moyer, why should you be our Fan of the Week?
Because I'm Chris.
Because he's Chris. Down goes Frazier. I think I started a riot.
That's a weird mic.
That's an awesome mic. Sunshine!
No.
Sunshine!
Hello.
Do you have any claim to be our potential Fan of the Week?
No.
I appreciate the honesty, sir. So we...
You want to mic up? Show your Sheridan spirit.
Well, I go to college and I'm poor. You seem to remember the Titans, right? Hey! That sounded like a raging cage. All right, I have an idea for Fan of the Week. I talked to you earlier. You promised me both of those beads for this t-shirt. And they say every man has his price. Apparently my price is 2 sets of necklace beads. So here you go, you're our Fan of the Week. You gotta trade me, All right, give her a round of applause. Fan of the Week! Hey, well, special thanks to all the Sheridan fans tonight, especially the Rage Cage. But we weren't just out in Thornville to select a Fan of the Week. We also had a chance to catch their game against Morgan. The Generals have done their usual blow the first few opponents out of the water routine, but tonight marked league play. And for the Raiders, this was one of the biggest games of the season. We now send things back out to Zanesville to chat with Colin Brown about this game. Colin, this is a much improved Morgan team that Sheridan faced tonight.
You know, Josh, after winning 1 game last season, the Morgan Raiders came into this game with a 1-1 overall record. Averaging 28 points per game in their first 2 games, they wanted to win their first conference game of the season and improve to a winning record. But standing in their way was the Sheridan Generals defense, who has only given up 1 touchdown on the season. There's some future Generals there, but Luke Fox to Tyler King, 15-yard touchdown pass, 7-0 lead Sheridan. Caleb Driggs for Morgan, the 13-yard run, 52 yards. But next play, Justin Head, 46-yard touchdown run. He had 157 yards on the night, 2 touchdowns with 8.5 left in the second quarter. But 4 plays later for Sheridan, Chase Heath with the 42-yard touchdown run gives Sheridan the 14-7 lead. 3 plays later, Joey Eversole, the 40-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. Only a minute later, it's 21-7 Sheridan. And then Coach Culver talked to his guys, got them ready to go. End of the second quarter, Connor Smith with the 20-yard run into Morgan territory. He had 15 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown on the run. But 6 plays later, Corey Cipriano, the quarterback, a 23-yard touchdown run. He scrambles around, breaks a few tackles, but as you see there, a flag in the backfield that's holding on offensive lineman Tate Levitt. Doesn't count. Sheridan doesn't score, but first possession of the third quarter, 33-yard line, 4th and 12. Cipriano, again, the 20-yard keeper keeps the drive alive. 4 plays later, 6-yard touchdown run. Corey Cipriano with the touchdown gives Sheridan the 28-7 lead. They would end up cruising on to a 35-13 win for the Sheridan Generals. A lot of yards in this game. Sheridan had 357 total yards. Morgan with 278 total yards. Pretty much all rushing, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, another big win for Sheridan, but this sounded like it was probably a pretty fast game with all the rushing that was going on.
You're exactly right. 97 rushing attempts compared to 5 passing attempts. The quarterbacks went 2 for 5 with 1 touchdown pass. But like I said, 97 rushing attempts, 604 total yards on the ground for the game, Josh. 604. That's just ridiculous.
All right, now Sheridan, they moved to 3-0. Do you think that they've repositioned themselves atop the MVL?
You know, 3-0 looks good, but they haven't really played much talent. Their next 6 games, or their next 7 games, should be pretty tough. We'll know more in a few weeks.
All right, our fellows from Zanesville bringing us all the MVL coverage. Thanks a lot tonight, Colin. It's now time on our show for Extra Points. Usually we bring your highlights for 2 games in just 1 minute, but tonight, lightning delays caused us to only get out to Chillicothe versus Portsmouth West. Nonetheless, let's get down to it. We're going to start off things here with Portsmouth West. They're getting pumped up against Chillicothe, and they're going to start off the opening kickoff. They got a deep kickoff here, and Chillicothe's Odere Bryant. He picks it up deep right by his own end zone, makes a few guys miss, and gets out to the 33-yard line. Now later on in that drive, Chillicothe quarterback Ryan Mathis tries to roll out, hits Luke Barnes for an 8-yard pass, but the Cavaliers are forced to punt. And on that punt return, Portsmouth West Zach Fry, he has taken this one. He's going to try to make as many guys miss as he can, but a lot of trouble getting points early in this game. He really couldn't make anyone miss, and he gets taken down there. And on a couple plays later for Portsmouth West, on 3rd and 19, quarterback Austin Brickard hits Barnes here, rolls out to the right, hits him for a 19-yard pass. Great play there, but Chillicothe would win this one 24-7. Well, unfortunately, we can't bring you highlights from the Jackson versus Granville matchup because they're not playing until tomorrow. But these two squads combined for 20 wins last season and both started this year 2-0. To talk more about tomorrow's matchup, we now welcome Graham Fugazzi to the desk. Graham, this guy's done his homework this week. Graham, just give us a little by the numbers segment on this game tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, the more I looked at this matchup and kind of crunched the numbers, the more I just got excited about this matchup. Let me give you a few here. 21, that's the magic number of consecutive regular season wins for the Andy Hall and the Jackson Ironmen. Now 11, that's the consecutive regular season wins for the Granville Blue Aces. Now if we go on the points side of things, 62 points, that's the points that Jackson has scored this year versus 19 that they've given up, and 80 points for the Granville Blue Aces versus their 20 points given up. So if I had to sum this up, Josh, in one word, I'd have to say firepower between these two teams.
That's what they always put up, high-scoring offenses every year. Now talk more about the big names on both sides of the ball in this matchup.
Well, I mean, Coach Andy Hall went out on a limb. He started the sophomore quarterback, Derek Rafferty. In his first 2 games, he's had 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, and INT. But if you want to look on the other side of things, you have to see what the senior quarterback for Granville's done, David Fraley. He has 509 yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for that guy there. So that's a little bit uncomparable. But you have to look at the rushing side of things as well. Rafferty's done it on the ground as well. He's a penny under $1, 99 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns there. Also, Morgan Landrum, the big senior fullback, running back combo. He is a beast. He's had 192 yards and a touchdown for them. You have to look also back on the passing side of things because Granville likes to run that spread offense. Their wide receivers have been studs this year. You have to look. Brock Hill, wide receiver for him, 4 touchdowns in week 1. 2 last week. He's got 6 of Granville's 8 receiving touchdowns coming from Fraley. So that kid's going to be a stud. Alec Osborne's going to have a tough time with him.
All right, well, 2 high-scoring offenses squaring off. This one might be a little tough to predict, but I'm going to give you that challenge. Graham, give us a prediction on this game tomorrow night.
Oh, man, put me on the spot. I have to look at both these teams. If Jackson, if they hold on to the ball, they don't put the ball on the ground, turnovers, that killed them last week. If they do that, I think they can get the win, but Granville's got a lot of firepower. I think they could take it as well.
All right, thanks a lot, Graham. Now, to catch a full game recap of that Jackson-Granville matchup, log on to our website at woub.org/gridiron. There you can find game previews, videos, score updates, and more on all of our featured teams. As the season progresses, you'll also be able to find standings, Player of the Year candidates, and potential playoff contenders. Now, although the Athens Bulldogs were able to grab a win last week, they had to put up 62 points to do it. And through the first 2 weeks, they've given up 53 points a game. This week, the Bulldogs welcome star quarterback Dylan Leffingwell and the powerful offense of the Warren Warriors with hopes of toughening up that defense. We now welcome Carter Rodriguez, who was at the game tonight. Carter, I mentioned Warren's quarterback, but let's talk a little bit more about this young star from Athens, Joey Burrow.
Yes, Josh, let's talk about Joey Burrow. The kid was going crazy out there tonight. And, I talked to Coach Ryan Adams of Athens. He said that Burrow is the most competitive player he's ever coached. And Adams has really opened up the offense, and it's been working. They've been scoring 48 points per game with their stud quarterback, and there's plenty more to come. It was a quarterback battle between two passing teams. Leffingwell and Burrow were going at it, and the youngster got the better of this one. I mean, there you see the two, Burrow, Leffingwell, but speaking of the youngster, there's Joey Burrow. He starts things off in the first quarter, big time 43-yard run, takes it into Warren territory, and now he's still got the ball, so Burrow's going to go ahead and drop. He hits Tyler McIntosh coming right across the middle. A real sophisticated spread offense. It's 7-0 Athens. Nearing the end of the second quarter, Joey Burrow, can you believe it, dumps a screen off to McIntosh, who breaks the tackle. He takes it for 48 yards, and Athens really was taking control of the game early. Now we're getting into now we're moving into the second quarter. Joey Burrow is still Joey Burrow, so he drops a pass to Skylar Schwartzel. Now it's 14-0 Athens.
Kid throws a pretty ball, Carter.
Yes, he does. And Burrow really also can do it with his legs just a little bit. He scampers into the end zone to put it at 26-0 Bulldogs. Burrow accounted for 92% of his team's 401 yards in the first half. Really pretty incredible. And believe it or not, Joey Burrow, he goes ahead and throws another touchdown. This time he found his buddy Skylar Schwartzel.
Get out of here.
Now it's 26-0. Now we're getting near the end of the half, and Burrow says, why not? I'll just throw it up to my buddy Tyler McIntosh. He takes it 70 yards. It's 32-0 Athens, and Leffingwell is just trying to keep it respectable here. At the end of the half, he hits Chaz Miller going across the middle. It's 32-6 at half, but Athens just really kept piling on. It ended 66-14. Josh, Burrow was really impressive tonight.
Wow, huge win for Athens. I don't think any of us saw that coming. Carter, I'm just going to come flat out and say it. How good is this Joey Burrow guy?
Well, Josh, he's really good. Let me hit you with this stat line. He threw 17 of 23, 423 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Oh, he also ran for 1 as well, so that's 8 total touchdowns for Joey Burrow. I mean, unreal numbers, and this kid's the real deal.
All right, well, Athens, they didn't only show up on the offensive side of the ball. They only gave up 14 points tonight. Do you think they figured out what they need to be doing on defense?
Well, they held Warren under 200 yards, and I was talking to a coach after the game, and he said that's what they're going to be celebrating in the locker room tonight. They're really excited. They'd been giving up 54 points a game in their first 2 games, so to hold Warren pretty low and under 200 yards, it's a win for them.
I would definitely agree with you there, Carter. Now, what do you think Warren needs to work on most? I don't think anybody, like I said, we didn't see this blowout coming. What do you think they need to do next week?
Well, I just didn't see a lot of explosiveness in the offense. Yeah, maybe they would get 10 yards, 15 yards, but, they never really developed any rhythm, and then they never really got any huge plays. So, they're not putting up the points that offense needs to. So, maybe some more rhythm, and then, some explosiveness would help them improve down the line.
All right, well, they got the talent. All they need now is the productivity. So thanks a lot tonight, Carter. Now, 3 weeks ago, if I would have told you that Nelsonville-York would start the 2012 season with 2 straight losses, you probably would have laughed in my face. However, that's exactly where we stand. And this week, the Buckeyes traveled to Berne Union for the start of a 3-game road trip. Since the Rockets are also 0-2, these 2 teams have nothing to lose and make for a hostile environment in our game of the week. Ohio reporter Pat Chiesa. Pat, you talked to Coach Boston earlier in this week. What is the mood for the Nelsonville-York Buckeyes?
I did, Josh, and he told me that his team is in, quote, uncharted waters after starting off the season 0-2. This is a football program that has immersed itself in the culture of winning, and Coach Boston said his guys couldn't wait to take the field and try to earn that win against the Rockets of Berne Union, a team that Nelsonville-York beat 57-0 last year. Throw those records out the window. The Bucks had a new man under center tonight and senior Joe Young, but the home team was the first to make some noise. How about a little trickeration on the first play? That is a reverse pass back to the quarterback, Jordan Blevins, 63 yards to pay dirt, 7-0 Rockets.
Gotta love the trickery.
How about that? But the Buckeyes would return the favor. Here's Young on NY's second play from scrimmage, 59 yards. And Josh, he's not coming home for supper. Extra point good. We have a tie ball game. And now enter the Bucks defense. How about Zach Mays right here? Boom! Laying the wood on Blevins. The Rockets punt, get the ball back. Now it's time to meet Mr. Neil Pauly. How about a one-arm tackle for the big fella?
Beast mode.
You got that right. So the Bucks would get the ball back. Another chance in Rocket territory, but Clint Handa coughs the ball up, and Tanner Merchant recovers for the Rockets. The Bucks force a 3-and-out, but the punt sails over Jacob Leip's head, and that would prove to be a game changer. Coach Boston pulls his boys aside on a Berne Union timeout, and 2 plays later, Young to Kyle Freer, 16 yards, nobody home in the Rockets secondary. That's a touchdown.
Yeah, it's a big touchdown.
Young, yeah, that's right. But Young would not be outdone by his receiver. How about a 73-yard run for the Wellston transfer? 32 yards to carry on the night for that young man, no pun intended. Certainly a night to remember, and here he is showing off to the Buckeyes fans. And then it was time for an encore. 9 yards, literally untouched. 27-7 Buckeyes at the half, and they roll in this one 62-21 to pick up their first win of the season. Now, Josh, you can see it on the stat screen here, but I want to point this out. 519 total yards for the Buckeyes, just 14 passing yards for Blevins, the quarterback of Berne Union. So that was the difference here. Nelsonville-York found their offensive mojo. How about that? Putting up the 6 deuce.
62.
And there was no coming back for Berne Union.
A lot of high-scoring games tonight, Pat. What would you say would be the keys to Nelsonville-York's first victory?
Well, you know, you look at Young and all that he did in his first game under center, but the battle truly was won here in the trenches. I showed Neil Pauly on the defensive line, and how about Austin McCullough as well? I want to throw out that big man's name. Nelsonville-York won the battle in the trenches, and that opened up not only the run game, but also the passing game for the Buckeyes.
All right, well, talk about the passing game. New quarterback tonight for Nelsonville-York, and Joe Young. How do you think he changed the game for the Buckeyes?
Well, he did things with his feet. This man was very impressive. Like I said before, replacing the sophomore Colton Adams, he added a new dynamic to this team. This boy could run the football, and as I said before, 132 yards to carry for him. The Rockets just could not stop him. They tried to stack the box, but there was nothing doing for them.
Man, that's a video
Young
game.
ran all over them.
Video game
type numbers.
Now, NY, they got 2 more road games after this, but do you think they can start a winning streak?
Actually, yeah, they have 3 road games in a row. Not in any specific order, but they're going to play Meigs, Logan, River Valley, and Wellston. Heading into tonight, Josh, these teams combine for just a 1-7 record. So the Buckeyes certainly have an opportunity. So stack up some wins here, and they could have a winning record in a couple weeks here.
Possible bright things ahead. Thanks a lot, Pat.
You got it.
Well, with the end of Game of the Week comes the end of our new coverage. However, there were a few sensational moments in tonight's games, and we would just be rude to not show them to you again. Here are tonight's top plays. Starting off at number 3, Aaron Roberts for Parkersburg here drops back, finds his boy Matt Santa Claus over the middle for a 51-yard touchdown pass. Parkersburg would take this one 26-21. Now, we just saw this game, our Game of the Week. Berne Union's Jordan Blevins runs a little triple option, but gets blown up by Zach Mays. Nelsonville would recover. They would win that game as well. Now here at number 1, Joey Burrow, the kid, the prodigy, drops back, finds his boy Tyler McIntosh over the middle. Athens wins huge, 66-14. Well, that's all the highlights we have for you tonight, folks. But believe it or not, we're doing this again next week. Here's what to expect from Gridiron Glory in Week 4. The first 3 weeks of this season have flown by, and although there are still 7 weeks left, some of next week's games will have playoff atmospheres. The Williamstown Yellow Jackets will try and restate their claim as the powerhouse of West Virginia when they host South Harrison. Federal-Hocking travels to Southern in a pivotal matchup with possible TVC-Hocking title implications. We're heading to Albany to select a member of the Alexander crowd to be our next Fan of the Week. In MVL action, John Glenn got off to a hot start and will try to keep things rolling against West Muskingum. We also have a few rematch games in Week 4, starting with Tri-Valley hosting Dover. The Tornadoes handed the Scotties their only loss of the regular season in 2011. Athens will head to Jackson to seek revenge against the Ironmen in our Game of the Week. These league champions squared off in the playoffs last season, with Jackson taking the win 27-7. Well, you've seen what Week 3 brought us and what Week 4 has to offer. With more and more conference games on the way, our shows are just getting more exciting. I'd like to wish my mother, Tammy, a very happy birthday tonight and remind you all to watch our show every Friday night at 11:30. Now remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.